Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of This Week in Magic Online Finance. My name is Chaz Andres, and as always, we're going to get started this week with the news. The big story, of course, is Modern Horizons, the new straight-to-modern set that Wizards of the Coast is going to be releasing this June. And, gang, this is a really big deal. For the first time ever, Wizards is releasing an entire set of cards that is designed to shake up the Modern metagame. So, in case you missed the product announcement, here's a quick rundown of the highlights. Modern Horizons won't be reprinting any cards that are currently legal in Modern, you know, the sort of things that would be reprinted in Master sets. Instead, they're going to be reprinting a bunch of cards that are legal in Legacy and beyond. And what that means is that we're probably going to see reprints of Commander releases like Baleful Strix, as well as modern legal printings of Legacy staples like Counterspell or heck, even Force of Will perhaps, I don't know. Beyond that, the rest of the cards are going to be powerful cards that are brand new, designed for Modern. And my guess here is that they're going to be buffing a lot of previously underrepresented archetypes. That Fringe deck you love to play but has always been one or two pieces short, that might be getting an upgrade in Modern Horizons. Here's the other thing. Modern Horizons, not coming to Arena. It's going to be on MTGO and Paper Magic only. So, if you want to play with Modern Horizons cards online, you're gonna have to use Magic Online. And since we're all but assured that all of the current Modern staples aren't going to be reprinted between now and then, now is definitely the time to buy all of the Modern staples you think you're going to need for the post-Horizons world. And you know what that means, right? It's time, finally, for the MTGO Modern Rally that I've been hoping for all spring to finally start. In fact, the rally's already begun. The Modern Index on MTGO is up about 11% over the past 2 weeks, and it's up about 25% since the bottom of that crash back in December. Also, if they were planning to release Modern on Arena anytime soon, they'd certainly have said something by now. So I really do feel like Modern is going to be fairly safe on MTGO for most of 2019. It is pretty darn safe to buy in right now. At the very least, if you are going to buy in this year, do not wait. Don't wait until late May when Modern Horizons preview season is here, because the Modern staples that aren't being reprinted, which is, you know, all the cards in Modern right now, are going to be more expensive then than they are now. And once all these sweet new cards from Modern Horizons are revealing themselves and people are tripping over themselves to build cool new decks, well, things like the fetch lands are going to be more expensive. More on Modern Horizons later. For now, let's move on to gaining ground, where in Standard, the card that gained the most ground this week for like the 90th straight week was Arclight Phoenix. It gained another 7 tickets, jumping from 50 all the way up to 57, and this rally, the end just does not seem to be in sight. This card is going to have to stop gaining value at some point, but right now that price chart is still pointing up. So, why is Arclight Phoenix continuing to rise in price while most other Standard cards are flat? Well, part of it is Standard demand. See, Arclight Phoenix sees a lot of play in Modern, has been seeing a lot of play in Modern, was not really in Standard for the past couple of months. Now it's back. LSV took that Arclight Phoenix version of Is It Drake's up into the top 8, and, you know, that's increasing demand. But there's another factor going on here as well. See, a lot of limited play has moved over from MTGO to Arena. People are drafting over there. And what that means is that the supply of available Standard cards has started to drop on MTGO. And this is a fairly recent thing. I mean, even just a couple of sets ago, Arena wasn't as big a deal as it is now, so this has been a recent phenomenon. This hasn't really impacted prices all that much though, because people are also playing a lot less Standard on MTGO. People are moving that over to Arena as well, so we've got lower supply, we also have lower demand. That's why I've got the prices we've got now. But people are playing a lot of Modern on MTGO still, and Arclight Phoenix is a big card in Modern. So now we have a low supply card that has high Modern demand, and that is the recipe for a price that gets high and stays high. Let's move back over to Modern now, where a lot of cards gained ground this week. Surgical Extraction was our biggest gainer of the week, jumping 12 tickets from 48 up to 60, but it was far from alone. You've got cards like Mox Opal, Liliana of the Veil, Collective Brutality, Leyline of the Void. All of these cards and more were up at least 5 tickets this week. So the real question here now isn't will the Modern market rally, it's how is this rally going to progress? It's possible that we're just going to see robust gains over the next couple of weeks as the Modern market rebounds in full, or perhaps things will start to flatten out again and it'll be relatively quiet until Modern Horizons season's previews begin in earnest. Either way, you're definitely going to want to pick up your staples now, as well as key cards in fringe decks that might get buffed. I'm talking about things like Modern Elves staples, Modern Goblins staples, 8-Rack, all of these decks that people are going to want to play as soon as some sweet new thing is spoiled. Definitely get your hands on this stuff now because it is all going up. Let's move on now to our biggest loser, where in Standard it was Hydroid Crisis, dropping about 4 tickets from 38 down to 34. And normally this kind of drop would be a bit of a warning sign for me, maybe it's time to sell, but honestly I'm not seeing any signs of sustained lowering prices here. The card kind of chunked down from 38 to 34 and it's been stable at 34 for a couple of days, so I think we're probably good, at least over the short term. Granted, Hydroid Crisis does not see any Modern play, so at some point this card will tank. But if you're holding on to these because, I don't know, you're playing Sultai midrange in MTGO and you have to own 4 of them for that, I don't think you need to sell right away. I'm not expecting this card to start tanking. Moving over to Modern, the biggest loser of the week was Gifts Ungiven, dropping about a ticket from 3 down to 2. This was the only card in the entirety of Modern that dropped even as much as a ticket this week, which shows how robust the market has been recently. Why did gifts drop? I don't really know. I don't really care. This is the sort of card that may see a pretty big buff with Modern Horizons, so I think at some point this spring is going to jump back up again. Regardless, if I don't have at least a playset of these in my collection, at 2 tickets, I'm definitely going to be buying. Let's move on now to our sneak of the week, where this week it is the Legacy staple Unmask. Unmask was as high as 30 tickets last summer, down to just 6 back in mid-February. It's now up to 13 and continuing to rise. This thing has some room to run. People are playing more Legacy now, and really the supply hasn't increased by all that much. It was in treasure chests for a while, but I think this thing is going to hit at least 20, and it may even hit 30 again at some point if everything breaks well. At any rate, if you've been meaning to pick these up for your Legacy decks, you should definitely grab them at 13. I think it is going to continue heading up. As always, we're going to end the week by taking a look at the MTGO Traders sales data over the past 7 days. And this gives us a great idea of which cards are actually selling the best right now, regardless of price increases or decreases. Looking at overall sales by volume, it's pretty clear that Mono Blue Tempo is currently the most popular deck on Magic Online right now. Terramander was our best-selling card of the week, with Merfolk Trickster also in that top 5. Now, Mono Blue isn't the most lucrative deck, it's really affordable, which is part of why it's great, but it's possible it will see a few spikes based on this deck's popularity. For example, Entrancing Melody is a $5 card in paper right now. It is still a fraction of a ticket on MTGO. Now, this deck only plays a couple of copies. I'm not really sure it's going to go up, but it's definitely a thing that I'm keeping an eye on right now and would probably speculate on if I wasn't going to put all those speculation dollars into Modern at the moment. Now, in terms of overall sales by price, the Modern boom is super obvious. Arclight Phoenix, the card that gained the most ground in Standard this week, all the way down at the number 10 spot. We've got cards like Mox Opal and Chalice of the Void and Leon of the Veil all coming in above it. Also a top seller this week for the first time in a long time, Force of Will. And this is because a lot of people suspect that Force may actually be added to Modern, thanks to Modern Horizons. Personally, I don't think this is particularly likely, at least not right now. But Force of Will is actually really cheap online. It's 22 tickets right now, whereas usually it's up over 30. And if Force of Will were added to the Modern card pool, the price would go bananas. So if you're looking for a fairly safe spec with some pretty high upside, I'd consider picking up a playset of Force of Wills. And that's all I got for you this week. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Chaz Andres. I will see you next Monday morning for another episode of This Week in Magic Online Finance.